Arsenal going for the League and Cup double, remember. It's Seaman in goal, Dixon, Adams, Keown and Winterburn across the back. Parler, Vieira, Petit and Overmars in midfield, Ray and Anelka up front. Ian Wright among the substitutes. No Dennis Bergkamp, he failed a fitness test. Newcastle start like this: Given in goal, 2 wing-backs, Barton and Pistone, 3 centre-backs, Dabizaz, Howie and Pearce, Lee, Batty and Speed in midfield, Ketspire and Alan Shearer up front. Well, that's Shearer. Paul Durkin's the referee, waiting to send us underway on this glorious afternoon as we welcome to Wembley all our friends listening on BBC World Service, and at this time when world leaders are in Brum, a chance for English football to beat the drum indeed, here in the sunshine at Wembley, with Arsenal in the first half playing from left to right. Most neutrals favourites to win the game today, but this is the Cup, 90 minutes, you never know. Stuart Pearce in the black and white, looking for Ketspire for the first time. The ball drops to Speed on the edge of the area. Across comes Lee Dixon and knocks it to the far side and to Nigel Winterburn. I always think of Cup final day as being hot and sunny. That's how Wembley should be, said Tony Adams in the programme today, and it is. It's baking as we settle down, and Alan Shearer gets his first touch, heads the ball down the centre. Martin Keown with a back pass to David Seaman, and we played 45 seconds and Roberto Di Matteo's record is safe. No goals, 0-0, Mark Lawrenson.
Newcastle's point of view, Mike, is that Ketspire is, I think he's looking to play as further forward as he possibly can. Certainly the early indications for the first minute is that the way he's going to play. Barton down the right, so he'll double up with Pistone. He's playing it right back just to stop Overmars.
You're listening to 5 Live and World Service at the Cup Final, the 75th anniversary of the Wembley Cup Final, and it's a throw into Arsenal, who haven't yet crossed the halfway line really in this first half. All their supporters, well, they're attacking the end where all their supporters are, away to the right. A first bit of action for Christopher Ray, but Newcastle stay inside the Arsenal half. It's played quickly forward by Lee, and that's a lovely ball now from Adams to Overmars, and for me, he could be the key man for Arsenal over on the far side, and there he goes down the line, taking Pistone, the Italian, with him. Pistone gets the touch, and already Arsenal have a corner.
Yeah, just a simple ball as well, wasn't it, to Overmars. Immediately Barton ran towards him. He took Pistone on, did Overmars, and although he's very, very quick, Pistone's just as quick, Matt. He's a leggy quick, and he'll always be able to get a touch or a toe in to stop him.
So here they come from the back, Keown and Adams, and the corner kick to be taken by Overmars, far side. This is the Arsenal left, into the area, away by Pearce, but it'll fall to the men in red and white again over on the far side, and Overmars is there, and immediately 2 players come back from Newcastle, headed away by Howie at the back. Howie wasn't in everybody's starting lineup for this game today, but Albert is on the bench, and Howie is back in the Newcastle defence now. Foul by Parler. Referee Paul Durkin has given the free kick and lets Newcastle take it from a rolling ball. It's with Pearce, Batty appeals for handball, and it'll be a fairly frenetic start, I imagine, Mark.
Well, I think it's a case, certainly in those midfield areas, of who's going to get the tackles in early, who's going to try and dominate. I thought actually the challenge between Shearer and Parler was nothing wrong with it on both counts. They both went in very, very high, but, you know, the referee should just let play on, but he's as nervous as everybody else.
Well, Stuart Pearce scored in the 91 final for Forest on the losing side against Spurs. He takes the free kick, he aims it towards Shearer, headed away by Petit for Arsenal. Back inside the Arsenal area it goes, but Adams is spotting the danger and feeds Overmars across on the far side, and they do need to get tight on Overmars. Don't forget, in Scotland, it's already Hearts 1, Rangers 0 in the Scottish Cup final, which apparently started a wee bit early, and Hearts with the penalty there. So Hearts 1, Rangers 0, that game being played at Parkhead.
You're saying Rangers weren't ready then?
Well, it looked like they were cold, but we could do with something like that here, really, couldn't we? We could do with an early goal. It always helps in the Cup final. But as Arsenal try and settle down here, Adams clouts it long to the far side, and that's laid off by Ray, aimed towards Overmars, but Newcastle have won it back in midfield, and now it's back inside their own half, and I don't think Shay Gibbons touched the ball yet away to the right, and now Stuart Pearce below us on the Newcastle left. He's hammered that down the line, looking for Gary Speed. Keown wants it to go out of play, and eventually it does. Not sure if I've given you the Newcastle bench. Also very experienced: John Barnes, Steve Watson, Philip Albert, Andreas Andersson, and the goalkeeper Shaka Hislop. Now Martin Keown up to the halfway line, looking for Anelka. In comes Dabizas, the first Greek to play in an FA Cup final, and out of play for an Arsenal throw-in. So many World Cup pointers here, of course, for Glenn Hoddle today. He'll be shuddering, I'm sure, every time the ball goes anywhere near Shearer and Keown and Adams. He'll be looking at Lee and Batty as well, of course, and looking too at the performance of David Seaman in goal. The game's still to settle down. We played 5 minutes already,
in the first half. And Lee Dixon, who missed the last game of the season at Aston Villa, takes a throw into Arsenal down the near side. In comes Stuart Pearce and knocks it on to Speed. Speed to Batty, and Newcastle have started quite well here. Ketspire feeding Lee, the captain, on the edge of the centre circle. Now Pistone sorts his legs out and hits it to the far side, but that's a poor ball, and Winterburn's underneath it for Arsenal. And now here they go. Overmars on the halfway line, checked by Davisas. Overmars is still presenting problems, and Pistone was aware and gives the back pass to Given, and there's his first touch, and it's not very convincing. He sliced that ball out of play.
Just a battle for pace with those two, Pistone and Overmars. He said before that Barton will try and get very, very close, but certainly the best weapon I think that Arsenal have today, Mike, is Overmars, and here you get quite a bit of space at Wembley. If they can get the ball to him, he'll run at Pistone all day.
A foul by Davisas, who went through on Anelka, and a free kick to Arsenal almost halfway inside the Newcastle half, defending the tunnel end. Winterburn takes it, scoops it straight through to the goalkeeper. What was that all about? Straight through to Shay Given, reminding you in Scotland already in the cup final, it's Hearts 1, Rangers 0. Rangers, who missed out in the Championship to Celtic, and now behind in that farewell game for so many people in the Rangers setup. Now Batty. Good skills from Batty. Finds the bald-headed Ketspire. Clearly the first Georgian to play in an FA Cup final. That's too long, and neither side yet, Mark, have got the passing right at all.
No, I would say at the moment, though, maybe Newcastle have just shaded it. More of their players seem to have had a touch. They look like they've got the more concentrated formation at the moment. Unfortunately for Ketspire, because it was the right ball in the circumstances. Robert Lee breaking free from midfield, but hit too late really for Lee's run. He'd already gone.
Arsenal playing patiently at the back, and then a long ball again from Keown. Didn't work, and across came Howie, who's had so many injury problems, of course, since Euro 96. Long ball back inside the Arsenal half. It glances off Keown to Vieira. Vieira and Petit trying to get a foothold in midfield, but it won't be easy against Batty and Lee. And now Winterburn, and again that's an edgy pass, even from somebody as experienced as Nigel Winterburn, who turns away, rather embarrassed, doesn't find Overmars on the far side, and Pistone to take it. And Stuart Pearce, apparently, already inside the first 6 or 7 minutes, has got a cut over the corner of the left eye, and if that starts to bleed, he'll have to have that seen to. The referee won't allow him to continue if that becomes a problem for Stuart Pearce. Now Arsenal tidying up inside their own half. It's with Adams. Adams hits it right-footed and slips. Still manages to find Dixon. Excellent ball to this near side. Dixon short of the halfway line. Down the line, looking for Parler to chase. Across comes Howie. Parler's inside the area. Howie gets his leg in and concedes a corner.
Yeah, good play by Howie, I think, Mike. He's along with Pistone, very, very quick, which is why he's been included instead of Albert. But quite simple ball by Dixon. Parler breaking forward on that right-hand position. Now the referee's seen Pearce's cut.
Right.
I think he'll have the trainer on for him.
And Shay Given in the Newcastle goal mops his brow on this hard afternoon as Stuart Pearce now has to be cleaned up.
Now the players will be absolutely delighted, because we talked about the heat, and now the game's 7 or 8 minutes underway. They'll be glad of a little breather, if of course they can get any air down there.
Well, Pearce looks as he's done a few rounds in the ring actually as he's getting the attention. It won't be a problem for him, I'm sure, though. But he's just having that sorted. And I should tell you, by the way, we haven't mentioned the two other officials here today, because it's just as big a day for them as anyone else here. We have Bill Jordan from Hertfordshire and Philip Joslin from Nottinghamshire running the line. And should they need another official, well, Graham Barber's down there patrolling along as well. Just looking at the two bench, Kenny Dalglish in his suit stands to the left of Arsene Wenger. Down there, Terry McDermott, who played in a couple of cup finals, lost them both with Newcastle and Liverpool. Mark chuckles. Mark played in one final, 86, and won a double. Here comes the corner. Emmanuel Petit takes it left-footed. Given doesn't come for it, and it's turned over in the end by Given from Tony Adams. But a spot of pushing, I think, over on the far side, and the free kick's been given.
Yeah, free kick's been given for a push by Adams on Davisas, I think. He just stuck his arms out, blocked him from getting the ball, and Davisas fell over, and Gibbons didn't know that, and he had to make the save. Good ball in, certainly.
Actually, there's a bit of experience down there on the bench in terms of cup finals, because Arsene Wenger's got Pat Rice with him, who played in 5 finals with Arsenal, which is something of a record. The kick taken by Newcastle. Keown's quickly in, beating Speed in the air, but now Batty knocks it down this near side. And Arsenal look to Ray Parler, moving inside the Newcastle half. Pearce has been stitched up, and Parler plays it forward, just held onto it a little too long, and Nelka had moved offside, and that's going to be a free kick to Newcastle, which Pearce just knocks squares from 5 or 6 yards and finds Steve Howie. So Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0 in the cup final at Wembley. Already Rangers trailing to a penalty against Hearts, as Davisas is blocked by Ray, and Newcastle have to start all over again from the back. Shay Given to take it. 10 minutes, and very uneventful so far.
Yeah, I think Newcastle are in more of the play, but the final ball to them at the moment isn't particularly isn't happening for them. And I think what's happening with Arsenal is, as soon as the boys get it at the back, they know exactly where to deliver it. Parlour broke down the right-hand side. We've had Overmars broke down the left. Arsenal looked dangerous in the early minutes, and yet they haven't had that many attacks. Newcastle all the play without really forcing themselves into decent opportunities.
Very often the cup final starts like this, very tentative, and when there's a break in play next, we'll bring in Frank Clark for his observations after 10 minutes here. The ball is taken on the chest by Pearce, seeing quite a lot of the early action. Down the centre it goes. Of course, it's Adams against Shearer. Every time it will be the ball is played long into the Arsenal half. It's now centre circle, but in goes Batty, knocking it back to his defender Howie, and there's the long back pass to Shay Gibbon. Gibbon plays football and then clears right-footed in towards the centre circle. Keown is beaten in the air by Speed. Now it'll drop to Ketspire, but immediately 3 Arsenal players around him. But somehow Ketspire emerges with the ball. Still Ketspire, 25 yards out, left-footed shot, just past Seaman's left-hand post. And let's have some early thoughts from you, Frank Clark.
Yeah, well, the game's certainly been very, very cagey. I'm quite surprised to see Newcastle line up like this with Stewart at left-back. I think the days of Stuart Pearce being a top-class left-back have long gone, and I expected him to play alongside the centre-back. I think Ray Parlour could be an important player for Arsenal today.
Thank you, Frank. Certainly it wasn't the Newcastle lineup that I wrote down on my way in here today. In fact, I didn't even have Howie in the side either. I thought that Watson might play. I thought that Albert might play, but just about shows how much I know about it, I suppose. Clearance by David Seaman. Arsenal now to the far side. And Winterburn. Arsenal with this typical patient build-up from the back. Nobody better than Adams. Adams again slips as he parts with the ball. Newcastle look to Barton, who's been very quiet over on that right-hand side. An Arsenal fan in his youth, Warren Barton. Now Batty's beaten Vieira, and Vieira's gone down following the challenge from Batty. The game continues. Vieira has a problem, but Batty couldn't find Shearer. Now Vieira gets up, but what a challenge that was by Batty to take the ball away from Vieira. Vieira was certainly affected by it. He's talking to the referee. He wasn't happy with it. Next time the ball goes anywhere near those two, it'll be interesting. And Adams once more is the calming influence at the back for Arsenal. Now Vieira. This time Batty's not going to challenge him. Vieira hits that. It's got a lot of pace on it. Don't think Overmars will get it. Yes, he has. He's kept it in against Pistone. Pistone manages to get goal side of the Dutchman, though, and Gibbons' clearance. And it was a hurried clearance, really. Doesn't find anybody in black and white. And Winterburn can't keep it in, and it's still quite scrappy. Batty again. Vieira couldn't get close to him as Newcastle are loose. Speed gives the ball away. Lots of mistakes early on by these two sides in the heat at Wembley as Parlour overruns the ball. But Ketspire's touch was poor, and Parlour's got it back again. And Ray is trying to stay onside. Ray Parlour's shot takes a deflection, and now Anelka is offside. And it's a free kick to Newcastle. 0-0 still.
Well, just symptomatic of both teams at the moment. Gain possession, win possession, give the ball away. Parlour got possession, gave it away, got it back to himself, cut inside from the kind of inside right position, decided to hit it left-footed. Eventually the move broke down, but Newcastle really guilty party. They gave the ball away and kind of a third into their own half, which they can't afford to do. Certainly not today with the heat, and also the fact, of course, it's Arsenal. They've got pace on the break.
BBC Radio 5 Live and World Service at the Cup Final. We're 13 minutes underway in the game. Not too much incident yet. Arsenal have won a couple of corners. Newcastle with Stuart Pearce playing as an authentic left-back today. And Pearce hits it about 20 yards into the Arsenal half. Shearer heads it on, and Ketspire is now offside. And, well, it's just the machine, Arsenal, Adams and Keown bringing them all up. They've done that millions of times. And David Seaman, who just watched that one shot go past his post a few minutes ago, prepares to take this free kick for his side, some 15 yards outside the penalty area. On form, of course, it should be no contest. Arsenal took 34 more points than Newcastle in the Premiership, but who knows today? As Ray Parlour with his right foot tries to work it into the area, a little tidying up here for Robert Lee to do, and he slides it to this near side. He wanted to avoid the corner kick, and in the end he concedes a throw-in by the corner flag, and Lee Dixon's already on the scene to take it. None of the centre-backs have gone into the area, not anticipating a long one here. It's thrown in towards Ray, but Pearce got in the way, and then Batty concedes another throw-in.
It was the other way, Mike. Batty played it against Dixon. I think the referee spotted it, has he? No,
well, he's just saying to Batty, calm down.
Batty was right. He's wrong to berate the linesman, but he was right. It was Newcastle's throw.
Right. Throw into Arsenal. Dixon to take it. 10 yards from the corner flag. Batty, we hope, will be on best behaviour. Sent off 3 times this season. This is the cup final. Now, Martin Keown can't get the ball down the line to Dixon. Reminding you, of course, Hearts are 1 up against Rangers already in the Scottish Cup final. That early penalty for Hearts. The ball is still inside the Newcastle half. It's very congested, very compressed. and now foul this time by Speed on Vieira, and clearly Newcastle have targeted Vieira. Every time it's going anywhere near him, he's given no time to settle. He's got this free kick 10 yards inside the Newcastle half, and he's going to wait for a few more players to go forward. Adams is staying back inside the centre circle. It's Patrick Vieira shuffling through the centre circle. Then it's a back pass to Adams. Back again to Vieira. Arsenal back where they started. A long one down the centre is cut out by Dabisas, who's been a great acquisition from Olympiacos. And still Arsenal. They haven't had too much early possession yet. Vieira, long one, trying to get it over the Newcastle defence. Header back by Pistone. Given just about saves it, does he? Not sure. No, referee's given a corner to Arsenal over on the far side.
What happened was Pistone was always sure what he was going to do, which was head it back to Given. As he's about to head it, Mike, he saw Petit out the corner of his eye, and he just softened the header more than anything. Of course, it made it go out of play.
A corner kick to Arsenal. No Ian Wright, no Bergkamp. And here it comes, another corner taken by Mark Overmars. Header down in the end was by Adams, I think, or was it Adams or Anelka? It's gone wide anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's a goal kick to Newcastle. But without Bergkamp and Wright, how do you see Arsenal? Do you see them still posing the same threat?
I think they pose the same threat because I think with the pace of Ray, Anelka and Overmars, they can afford to sit back for a while. And today, of course, with the conditions, the sweltering heat, they might have to do that for a stage of the game. But that won't worry them because they'll hit Newcastle on the break.
In terms of the history of the game, of course, this is one of the great fixtures, Arsenal and Newcastle. They've both won the Cup 6 times, but it's been such a long time since Newcastle did it. The days of Bob Stokoe, Jimmy Schooler and Jackie Milburn. But not a great start to this final. I hope it's going to get better. It's certainly very hot down there, and Mark was saying do not underestimate what it must be like for those players down there. Many of them will be going to the World Cup, so this is good preparation for them. The ball is thrown back to Keown, back inside the Arsenal half. Seaman away to the left, just gazing on here as a spectator. Neither goalkeeper's had to do too much so far. Dixon's back header. Pearce scrambling against Parler. It's messy and it's scrappy. Parler again. Whistle's gone again. Pearce against Ray. Is it down there? Tugging and pushing, and another free kick. And a few too many of those so far here, as Arsenal may have to get Gary Lewin, the physiotherapist, to come on. And Arsene Wenger, we see for the first time, is just stepping towards the touchline here just to get a closer look at things.
I think Ray's got a dislocated shoelace, Mike. There's nothing wrong with him.
Well, the big cheer is for the man in the white hat going round the touchline, and that's Ian Wright, who you can be sure has got some kind of T-shirt as well under his Arsenal shirt today, just in case he comes on and scores a winning goal. So he's warming up. I'm sure we'll see him at some point in the game. And Arsenal's free kick eventually taken, and the ball is rolled across, and they're conserving energy here, noticeably. The ball with Keown. Keown just inside the Newcastle half. Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0. Looking to try and find Anelka. In came Dabisas. Ray won the ball back again. Now Parler. But Parler wants a bit too much time there, and Gary Speed's going to deny him that. Speed in the left-back position, trying to get away from Parler and Ray. In the end, it's Ray's challenge. He's okay off that injury. And another throw into Newcastle. But the game is still yet to find any kind of rhythm here.
No rhythm whatsoever. It's just very, very scruffy. Teams winning the ball back, which is both intent on doing so. And as soon as they win the ball back, they end up giving the ball away. Consequently, it's a spectacle. We haven't got a spectacle, but it will get better. And then, as the game goes on, players get more tired, there'll be more mistakes, and eventually I think that's when the chances will come.
Well, only a matter of weeks ago, over Easter, Arsenal swept Newcastle aside with disdain, really, at Highbury in the Premiership game. They really put them away very comfortably. But we expect this to be much, much tighter today, as Pearce thumps the ball inaccurately again down the line, and that wasn't good stuff. And it's another throw to Arsenal on the near side, and the ball's probably spent almost as much time out of play as in play so far. We played 19 minutes, 0-0, and nothing like a chance for anybody yet.
Well, what about, I was just going to make the point about Shearer, Mike. I don't think he's had one decent ball played up to him. All he's had to do is scratch a couple of headers against Keown and Adams, and then a couple of challenges. So he must be thinking, hold on a minute, 20 minutes, I've not really had a decent touch.
He misses Gillespie in this setup, doesn't he?
Well, he misses that width, that pace from the right-hand side, and of course the fact that, regardless of Gillespie and his ups and his downs, it will get crosses in for you.
Adams thought he was going to stumble for a moment on the edge of the area, and Mr. Durkin's whistle's gone again. Arsenal are trying to take the free kick 10 yards ahead of where the incident happened. Ian Wright still getting more applause than the game's getting, and Arsenal have taken the free kick, and it's back again with Adams, the captain. Adams flaps his fingers forward and then doesn't hit the long pass. Instead he finds Keown. Keown in now to Vieira on the halfway line. Back again to Adams, but Newcastle have got everybody behind the ball now, and this is going to take something quite enterprising from Arsenal to open them up. Adams into Vieira. Vieira holds, gets round the challenge, finds Parler. Parler in a bit of a tangle initially, then manages to knock it to the near side to Dixon. Back again to Parler. Lovely running from Ray Parler in the area. Parler going round Howard, headed over the bar by Nicholas Anelka. Came onto him very sharpish, couldn't control the header, and at the end of an excellent move from Arsenal, which began in their own half, the ball is headed over for a Newcastle goal kick.
Marvellous play by Arsenal, the best move of the match by far. In fact, there hadn't been another move really. Vieira, the instigator, Dixon, Parler all took control, and I thought Parler was running the ball away, and Howie looks as though favourite to tip the ball away for a corner, but Parler still got his cross in. An excellent chance for Arsenal to take the lead.
Well, that's much more like it. That's much more like Arsenal, certainly, as Gary Speed can't control the header following the clearance from Given, and Pistone charges onto the ball inside the centre circle. Gets a dreadful return from Batty, and although Pistone was out of position, Barton was the covering player, and Anelka can't capitalise over on the far side, and it's a Newcastle throw. A little bit of shade and shadow over on the far side for Warren Barton, playing wide on the Newcastle right, in the absence, of course, of Keith Gillespie. Barton to leave the ball to Pistone after Di Matteo's heroics a year ago for Chelsea. In the FA Cup, we have yet another Italian playing this year. Throw by Pistone. Good throw in the end. Barton juggling with the ball up against Petit, but still Newcastle not able to really involve Shearer as much as they would like, and it's an Arsenal throw in far side the left.
And also Kit Spiremark as well. He's currently in a kind of inside left position at the moment, and I'm not quite sure he knows exactly where to play. He's one of those instinctive footballers. The ball comes to him and he dribbles past people. He just sees feet. I don't think he sees the bigger picture half the time.
At the moment, they're just cancelling each other out, especially in midfield, and the only flow we've had so far, really, with that move from Arsenal a couple of minutes ago, which ended with Anelka heading over the bar. Now, Petit looking to try and play the ball down the centre. Pearce was quick there, and he had to be, because both Anelka and Ray were threatening, but now suddenly Arsenal have stepped up a gear here. The ball is with Winterburn over on the left-hand side, gets rid of it quickly, into Petit and Vieira trying to control midfield against Lee and Batty. That's wasted by Vieira, and the ball on the edge of the Newcastle area, and now Ket Spire, the man that Mark Lawrence was talking about a few moments ago, trying to get involved in the game. Reminding you still, Hearts 1, Rangers 0 in the Scottish Cup final at Parkhead. Now, good play by Newcastle. Ket Spire was well found there by Speed. Gives the ball to Batty near side. Batty immediately squeezed by Ray Parler. The ball is back with Pearce. Pearce down the line, and Shearer gets a touch. Shearer up against Dixon. He goes to the ground. The referee says get up, and here come Arsenal on the break. Shearer's looking for a free kick, but Vieira's got it forward to Anelka. Anelka is taken just outside the area by Davisas. It's with Parler, very effective early on, and then wasted by Parler. Barton will have to clear it. It's the halfway point of what has been so far a very disappointing cup final, but lots of time for it to change, and here's Alan Green.
No, it's not been very good, has it? But Arsenal have begun to take control after some, let's say, aggressive tackling from Newcastle in the early minutes. Seemed to be aimed at putting the Arsenal midfield players out of the game. Played forward to Overmars into the penalty, and he stabs it through the legs of the goalkeeper! Given didn't get there in time! It was only a half chance for Overmars! He got beyond Pistone, shrugged the ball down into the penalty area. He could only been 10 yards out, and he reacted quicker than Shay Given, and Arsenal are one major step towards the goal for Mark Overmars.
Absolute out of nothing, Alan. Just a ball delivered in from Petit over the head of Pistone. Overmars was on the inside of Pistone. Why Overmars let him get there, I don't know. Davisas wasn't in connection with the two players, and eventually when Given came out, Overmars with his pace, he just got himself in a position where he could settle down and drove the ball under Given. An excellent goal, certainly from Overmars. What was that, 16th for the season for him?
I was about to say, actually, after a couple of promising runs from him in the first few minutes, he'd been very quiet, very, very quiet. But there you go.
But it was for Newcastle to concede, it's a nothing goal really. Just a ball helped over your full-back, and it's what you expect, certainly the centre-backs to be in control, and for me, Pistone in the wrong position.
Anelka chasing after the ball. The defenders are crossing the far side, helped out by Pistone, and Paul Durkin from 30 yards decides that's a foul by Anelka. So it's a free kick to Newcastle. We played 24 minutes. Sorry, Mike. Against him. Sorry, mate.
Mike said he's not bothered, I think, with his role.
What's that gesture then? 1-0 to the Arsenal, as the crowd, the Arsenal supporters at least, are reminding the Newcastle fans. And Frank Clark's just sitting a couple of yards to my left. Frank, not like spectacular opening 23 minutes, but I think that's a crucial breakthrough.
Yeah, it's crucial, no doubt about that. And a bad goal for Newcastle to concede, as Mark said. Very simple build-up. But hopefully it will open the game up and liven things up.
Newcastle have to change their approach. Batty's on the ball at the moment. This was a dreadful challenge earlier, by the way, on Vieira. Absolutely dreadful. High, straight through, studs up onto the ankle. Not even punished by the referee. Newcastle play the ball into the Arsenal penalty area. A little long beyond Shearer. Gets by, runs after it. Hasn't kept it in play, though, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, clever block by Lee Dixon as well, I think it was. On Alan Shearer, looking to get his head on the ball if he could have got on the cross. And I don't think Newcastle will change yet, Alan. I think they'll wait a long time before they decide to change. Kenny's not that kind of manager, very kind of pragmatic. He'll just sit there. Well, first thing he'll think, well, for the next 10 or 15 minutes we can't concede another. Otherwise, of course, we're out of the cup final. But, you know, defensively, it's such an awful goal to concede. Just one long ball through the middle. Great Overmars, marvellous pace, but really, you know, black and white shirt should have been all around him.
Batty, good overhead clearance to Shearer. Excellent control by the England captain. Finding Barton. And back to Lee, the captain. Pistoni. Negative football by Newcastle. You know, the pass from Batty set them moving forward, and then there were 3 successive passes backwards.
Well, it's 3 forward, 1 back at the moment. The great problem is that, you know, where's Ketspire in all the build-up? Shearer will always be where you expect him to be, and as a midfield player, you know if he can deliver the ball in, then he'll be there. But Ketspire could be the key, really, today. He's going to have to look to maybe run past 1 or 2 of the Arsenal defenders, just to give his midfield players and back players a bit of an option. Shearer will always drop short for it. Let Ketspire get on the last shoulder of the last defender.
The trouble is that the service to Shearer is rather funneled. There's nothing from the wide positions.
No, but the problem is, Alan, that, you know, both Keown and Adams know that the ball's going to be played into him, not over the top of him, so they can afford to get very, very tight to him. That's why Ketspire is the key.
Winterburn helps it upfield. Anelka's after it. Howie's there first. The pass back to Gibbon. He'll be feeling not so clever. I wasn't blaming the goalkeeper, but it was just such a scrappy goal to concede on such a big stage. Pistoni on the far side. Neat pass infield to Lee, and the run was made by Speed. Keown spotted it, stepped forward, helped out by Winterburn. Winterburn's clearance to Parlour. There's no one down the Arsenal right at the moment because Parlour's in field. So he plays the pass back to Dixon. Excellent ball forward, and Ray does well too. Finding Parlour. Good football from Arsenal, the Premiership champions and maybe double winners of 1998. They lay it to the far side, and it's fed through by Winterburn, but intercepted by Barton. And Barton, midway inside his own half, slides the ball to the near side, though Ketspire has to retreat to keep the possession for Newcastle. Exchanges passes with Pearce, and now Ketspire. Careless ball from him. Head of Batty, and it's as well Lee was alert. Got in there before Overmars, and Newcastle still have it. Dabizas. Back to Lee. Fed to the right to Pistoni, up over the halfway line, slides the ball forward. Should have been a simple clearance from Adams, wasn't. Collected by Shearer. Shearer's crossed into the penalty area, just over the head of Speed. Dropped against Ketspire, onto his right foot, shoots straight at Seaman.
That's Ketspire for you. Ball eventually came to him, cut inside Parlour, half a yard on him, whipped a right footer. That will certainly get the Toon Army going.
Well, they need something. We played 28 minutes of the Cup final, the 1998 FA Cup final, brought to you by 5 Live and the BBC World Service. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0.
I just thought with Arsenal that Vieira was starting to get a bit of room. Vieira and Petit, just about 5 minutes before they actually scored the goal, Alan. It's as though they'd sat back, they'd had a look at Newcastle, see what they had to offer, and they were slowly starting to get the ball down in midfield and find the men. Now, of course, we're scoring the goal. The confidence is up. Everybody wants the ball, and at the moment, Newcastle are doing all the chasing, and it's hot.
Seaman, long clearance upfield. Anelka jumped towards Howie. Howie watched the ball, headed away. Parlour heads it down towards Ray. Lee under pressure. Petit wins again. All to Ray. Now it might be Parlour. And Parlour left his foot in a little high on Barton. Referee spotted it, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
The referee had already given a free kick against Barton, I think, for Barton for the challenge before him. But it's great for Arsenal that they can sit there. They don't have to do the chasing. They can get those 3 in front of the back 4. Parlour, Vieira, Petit. We can see him now almost in a line. They say, right, try and play through us, over us, around us, do what you want. We're going to leave the 3 up front. If we get the ball, we're going to be running at you.
The thing is, they lost their last 2 Premiership games. Well, of course, it didn't matter. You know, at Liverpool, particularly, they put out the reserves at Anfield, and then at Villa on the final day, it didn't matter. What really mattered was in the run into the Premiership title, Seaman conceded, 2 goals?
Yeah, and also, and since they won the league, nobody really, apart from Bergkamp, has got injured, Alan. That was also most important for them.
So what can Newcastle do about it? A goal down, half an hour played here at Wembley. Ketspire cuts in from the left-hand side, finds Speed, might run to Ketspire again. Ketspire just toe pokes it forward towards Shearer, but Adam steps in, clears to Vieira. Vieira hits it upfield, and Nelka chases after that. Look at the pace of the young Frenchman, getting there ahead of Howie. Howie slips, Ray waits inside the penalty, and Nelka shoots on goal. Optimistically, it's high over the crossbar.
Yeah, it was actually Davizas, wasn't it? I think Davizas was going to the ball. almost lollipopping around. He was looking at Pearce thinking, well, shall you go or I go or after you, Claude? And eventually, of course, the pace of Anelka built himself up into full stride, and he just gave Davies a little nudge with the shoulder, and he got the ball off him.
The ball's just over the halfway line as far as Newcastle are concerned, not for long. But it's back with Barton. Barton forward to Shearer. Shearer to Batty. Batty feeds it, and Speed is offside, making the run too early.
But that's the kind of thing they have to do. They don't have to get caught offside. But that's the runs that Speed has to make when the ball's down the right-hand side. Rob Lee also has got to do a certain amount of that from the inside right position when the ball's down the left-hand side. Because if you make those runs from midfield and the pass is right, it's so difficult for players to pick you up because you're already at full pace when you're coming onto the ball.
Well, we're still 2/3 of the game to go. But I wonder, with a scoreline of 1-0 to Arsenal, are we on for the third double in just 5 years? 2 of them, of course, to Manchester United. And this would be Arsenal's second double. Petit, poor ball by him, behind Vieira. Shearer's there, Ketsbaia, Lee to his left, wretched pass from Ketsbaia, easy interception by Dixon. Dixon back to Seaman.
Like a communication, wasn't it? Ketsbaia and Lee.
Seaman with a clearance up to the halfway line. Ray beaten in the air by Howie. A little ball juggling episode there from Batty, and then he flicks it away to the far side of the field. Hart still leading Rangers 1-0 in the Scottish Cup final, and Newcastle have the ball here at Wembley Stadium. A goal down to the Arsenal. Adams clears. Anelka evades Davies' ass, but the ball seemed to squirt through to Lee, and Lee to the near side, and Pearce back to Howie. Howie midway inside his own half, and he's thinking, well, what's ahead of me? Not a lot, that's the answer. Batty back to Davies' ass. Careless ball from him to the far side, and Pistone. And it's an interception on the far side by Winterburn. And Melka tackled there by Davies' ass. I thought that was a free kick, but the referee says play on. Batty for Newcastle. 13 minutes rather than half time. Lee, the Newcastle skipper. But it's all sideways movement. There's no penetration at the moment from the Geordie boys. Howie comes forward though, running, and then lays the pass to Shearer. He slips as well. Why are they all slipping out there? And the ball is through to Seaman.
It's just really underlines the problem for Newcastle, is that, Arsenal are going to let you play in front of them. That's not a problem to them whatsoever until Newcastle can come up with a solution, which is Ketsbaia running off Shearer but running behind Arsenal, and then they can eventually stretch Arsenal's defence. As at the moment, they can just get very tight.
By Lee, Overmars there into the penalty area, forced a little wide, and then Lee gets back to retrieve his own mistake, and the damage should be cleared from Newcastle. Pistone hacks it towards the halfway line. Terrible ball from Lee. That could have been 2-0, and this cup final could have been over. It's not. The ball's out of play on the far side of the field. Still far too scrappy for my liking. Not great to watch. But the Arsenal fans won't care about that at the moment. And to be fair, Arsenal, as well as being effective in the run into the Championship, were also highly entertaining. Thrown in the far side. Winterburn to take it. Overmars shot outside his shorts close by, but it's thrown further towards Ray. And then there's a foul on Ray, according to the referee.
Sandwich.
Barton and Lee. And it's a free kick to Arsenal now. 20 yards inside the Newcastle half, down the left-hand side. Keown and Adams hang back. Petit waits. Parler's up on the edge of the penalty area. Simple free kick tap to the left of Winterburn. Now Petit. Overmars forward, and that's not a good ball from Petit. A simple clearance by Pearce, and the header down by Keown for Arsenal to the Arsenal skipper Adams. Adams away to the far side, and Winterburn. Petit ahead of him. Adams alongside. Adams gets the ball. Now Vieira, and Vieira to Keown, and there's no question about it. They'd settled before the goal, but now Arsenal have just got themselves into a neat, simple rhythm.
Rhythm is the key, and they're dictating the tempo of the game as well.
Clever little jump there by Adams to make sure that Shearer didn't get that far off the ground as the ball was played in towards the England captain. So it's upfield, slipped by the defender, and Anelka's Paul Durkin says that Davies' ass was fouled.
Yeah, he was fouled. I think Anelka, if he didn't certainly touch him with his feet, he looked to pull him back straight away. Hasn't
he come on, Anelka? Let's see, the last few months in particular, Mark.
Well, I think when we first saw him, he was like a little boy, wasn't he? All kind of wide-eyed and looking and thinking, what's this I've come into? Then he's grown, he's playing like a very mature old pro now. 19
years of age, and he's contributed 8 goals in the closing months of the season. And you think about the injuries and suspensions to Bergkamp and the long-term injury to Wright. Well, Anelka and Ray have performed extraordinarily well. Newcastle have the ball though, with Gary Speed. Tackle comes in from Petit. Speed evades it, plays it back to Ketsbaia, who's a good 30 yards behind Shearer. Infield to Batty. Batty can only run the ball to Overmars. Overmars clears, and it's going to find Ray. 20 yards short of the halfway line. Back to Dixon. An Arsenal player's down injured at the moment. It's Overmars, and play continues. I'm not sure Paul Durkin spotted it. Anyway, Overmars is on his feet. Newcastle still have possession. Kitsbaya. Back to Lee. Lee to the far side and Bastoni, and Overmars stumbles across to make a half-hearted challenge. On it goes to Barton, level over the edge of the penalty area. Right side for Newcastle. Tackle comes in from Winterburn, and it's out of play for a throw-in. 10 minutes to half-time here on 5 Live in the BBC World Service. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0 in the FA Cup final from Wembley. The ball played in towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area, and it's run away safely and securely by Ray Parlour. And Nelka's upfield, hit too long that pass surely, given out of his penalty area, and then retreated as he saw that the pass was going to reach him. Catches it, throws it out to Batty.
That's the kind of pass that Newcastle need to be looking to play at the other end, Alan, just to stretch Arsenal. And Nelka's always going to look to get onto that. And, you know, the fact you can just stick it over the back of defenders and you have somebody there who can run onto the end of it. And even if you don't get the ball back, all of a sudden the danger's away from your goal and you're some 15-20 yards away from your opponent's goal.
But so far this afternoon, no Gillespie, not even on the bench, and therefore no service for Shearer. Hasn't got a chance at the moment. Going to have to get much more support from his Newcastle colleagues. 1-0 to Arsenal. Given hits it upfield. It won't be kept in play by Speed. It is by Dixon. Oh, I thought it was by Dixon, but the linesman's got his flag up on the near side. It's going to be a throw-in to Newcastle United. It's about 15 yards to the left of that Arsenal penalty area, and Pearce can reach if he wants to, but we've got Shearer inside the Arsenal box at the moment and nobody else.
Warren Barton's just got there.
Burton's Burton? That was his dress sense, was it? It's Barton inside the penalty area now with Shearer and with Lee. Pearce comes forward, and the throws to the edge of the penalty area, chested back, Batty in the volley, right-footed, and it's a good 15 yards wide.
Now, it's worth an effort because they haven't really had any apart from Kitsbaya cutting in and making Seaman make a save. Generally, Seaman, as we said the other week, Ambrose Soler out into the sunshine. One save he's had to make. Back four in front of him look very, very comfortable, as do the midfield three, and when the balls are played into the front three, they look very, very dangerous, and it's all about Arsenal at the moment. They're making Newcastle work very, very hard, and that might tell the last half an hour. Plus, of course, you've got the 1-goal lead. Very much Arsenal in the ascendancy at the moment.
I forgot to tell you, Kenny's not smiling anymore. Grim look on the manager's face. Wenger might be enjoying this, though. Arsenal lead 1-0. Kiln heads the ball high, dropping towards Anelka. Davizas jumps, and the Greek heads it away to the near side, and Howie, midway inside the Newcastle half, looks to the right and then looks upfield. Shearer hasn't got a colleague within 30 yards, so the ball is back to Pearce, and Pearce lifts it left-footed, and Shearer makes the run towards the near touchline. Clever flick infield towards Speed. Speed doesn't control it. Maybe it was awkward for him, and it's out to play for an Arsenal throw-in.
It's a bit better, isn't it? A better ball this time by Pearce. Good first touch by the England captain, Shearer, and fortunately Speed's first touch, if it had matched Shearer's, it would have taken him into that outside left position. Chance of a cross, maybe.
7 minutes to half-time. Red celebrating at the moment. Maybe premature. Arsenal lead 1-0. Anelka beaten, and Davizas on the halfway line drills it, 40, 50 yards back to his goalkeeper, Shea Given. It's all terribly negative from Newcastle United at the moment. Given out of his penalty area, and there's a right-footed pass upfield. Long, looking for Shearer. Simple header away by Kiln, as Shearer made no attempt to play the ball. It drops through the clearance to Batty. Batty running to the far side, and almost inevitably the thin passes backwards to Bastoni. Forward to Barton. Bastoni making a good run down the right. Barton holds up the ball well. Batty's available. Infield to Batty. Batty forward this time to Barton. And Speed had made a good run. The tackle came in from Arsenal, and Arsenal win the ball. Winterburn hits it away towards the near side. Pearce heads it forward to Shearer. 30 yards from goal. Boost from the Arsenal fans. On it goes. Tackle on Speed. Oh, free kick, says Paul Durkin. The tackle by Martin Keown, and it's just 6 yards outside the penalty area.
Yeah, it's a tackle on Speed. Speed looked to flick the ball around the corner away from Keown. I think Keown just caught Speed under the gaze of the referee.
Well, Kitsbaya, with some optimism, has come across here, but I think Alan Shearer will just say, go away, son.
No betting at Pontefract. He's taking this.
Well, Kitsbaya is teeing the ball up. Pearce is there, but it seems made, it's a sort of inside left position. It seems made for the right foot of Alan Shearer. We'll see. There are 4 players in the Arsenal wall, now augmented to 5 by Overmars. Pearce is glancing. Can he whip it round the outside? Or will it be left to Shearer? Has to be Shearer. There it goes, up over the crossbar, goal kick.
Well, the first thing he had to do, of course, Shearer, was get the height to get it over the Arsenal 4-man wall. And in terms of getting the height, then he had to get the pace. But it was a good couple of feet over Seaman's crossbar, and Seaman very, very quick on the balls of his feet. Knew he didn't really have to come across and make any kind of save whatsoever.
He hasn't made a save, has he?
One. Ketspire.
Yes, the one that the shot that was straight at him. Forgotten. Easy to forget, frankly. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. The goal scored by Mark Overmars after 23 minutes, taking advantage of some slipshod defending by Newcastle United. Petit. Bud was high from Lee. Petit evaded him, but Newcastle win the ball inside the centre circle. Barton, who's come in field from his right midfield position. And now Pistone takes his place on the far side as it's laid there by Speed. Forward to Lee. Pistone available again. Played to Speed. Now Pistone. Shearer wants a decent cross and gets an awful cross. It's behind for a goal kick.
Well, it's the first real time that Pistone's got himself in a position the other side of Overmars. He definitely got 3 or 4 yards in Overmars. It wasn't a great ball that was played to him. I think it was by Rob Lee, and almost behind him. He had to stop. He thought, well, I'll clip this first time, and of course he got so much height in it. He should have been playing for the Falcons at Harlequins tomorrow.
This is the third time these sides have met in the FA Cup final at Wembley. And Newcastle won in 1932 and again in 1952. But Arsenal are in front here with 3.5 minutes to go to half-time, courtesy of Overmars' goal. Pearce has to be careful, wasn't too careful. Parlour gets the ball first. Infielder Ray, edge of the D, shoots over the crossbar on the volley.
Clever ball in by Parlour, wasn't it? Straight into Ray. Lovely first touch by the outside of his right foot by Ray. Dropped it down, he hit it on the volley after it bounced. It's one of those that kind of go in the roof of the net. Given I thought was in a good position, but fortunately for Newcastle over the bar. But that was it, Alan. Split second, 3 passes, Arsenal champs.
3 minutes to half-time. Shay Given with a goal kick for Newcastle. In front of the Arsenal fans away to our right. And it just reaches the halfway line. Headed down by Batty to Lee. Lee's pass slightly overhit to Pistone, but Pistone gets there and then gives the ball away carelessly. Winterburn, Petit. Good tackle by Lee again. Winning it back for Newcastle United. And then Adams steps in before Barton can latch onto a pass. And it's into the crowd.
That's why it's priceless, Adams, isn't it? 2 or 3 minutes before half-time, he could bring it down and maybe look to play it out. But nah, let's knock it out. Let's get all the red shirts back and let's regroup, get ourselves in position.
Barton with a throw-in to Speed. Wide to Barton again. On the far touchline, Newcastle right. Back to Pistone. Chip forward. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Newcastle aren't at the races.
Well, they're not at the races, but you have to say, really, that there aren't too many options if you're a midfield player, if you're full-back in an advanced midfield position, that apart really from dropping the ball into Shearer, there's absolutely nothing, which obviously it's, 3 passes forward, 2 back, another 2 forward, another 3 back, and it's just allowing Arsenal really just to regroup all the time, and they're difficult enough to play with when you've got width. The fact that you're very, very narrow is really making Newcastle's chances of making chances more difficult.
The header on by Ray from Seaman's clearance, but it's tapped back by Davizas to his goalkeeper, Shay Given. And Given, left side of his penalty area. Can't lift the ball, of course. Hits it right-footed, up over the halfway line. Ketspire jumps, heads it on, but it drops to Keown. And Keown flicks it forward, right-footed. And Elka doesn't chase after that one. He was in an offside position, and it's through to Given once more. It's basically as if they've lined up with 5 in midfield, Newcastle, even Shearer on his own, and hoping that Speed and Ketspire in particular charge through from midfield to support him, but it's not happening.
No, I don't think it will happen as well. Ketspire, I think, has to have a more defined role, and you're 1-0 down, and I'm certain the second half they're going to have to say to Ketspire to leave him on and play further forward, play as a 2, try and play alongside Alan Shearer and in and behind him.
That ball squeezed through to Barton and then almost picked up by Speed just outside the penalty, or by Lee rather, but Arsenal clear. Ray up to the halfway line, can't find Winterburn on the far side. Pistone infield to Barton, good tackle by Ray from behind, fair challenge. Petit on to Overmars, and Anelka's infield. Overmars cutting in from the left, Parlour's unmarked. If it's fed back to him, here it is, right-footed, high and wide, and that was a great chance.
Well, and it was always going to go to Parlour, wasn't it? Super run from midfield, timed it absolutely perfectly. There was Overmars. He couldn't see what Parlour was doing, but he had the presence of mind, a good football brain. Get his head at once he got a position to make the pass, dropped it into Parlour, and he didn't make great contact with it, but certainly from Newcastle having possession of the football, another chance for Arsenal.
Well, by the standards they set in the run into the title, they're not playing that well, Arsenal, but they're in charge.
They're completely in charge at the moment. Completely in charge. The only good thing you'd probably say from Newcastle's point of view, that half-time's going to come, it might just upset Arsenal's rhythm.
Adams hits the ball high into the Newcastle half, bounces once, and straight through to Shay Given. It's a shame the build-up was so promising, but it's just a poor game. Poor game at the moment. Davizas to Batty. Batty to Pistone on the far side. That's the Newcastle right, almost on the halfway line. Back to Davizas. And now Speed. It looks as if Newcastle are playing out time to half-time. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Davizas hits it upfield. Shearer falls over. I don't know what he thinks he's going to get in that situation. There was no foul by Adams, and the ball is through to Seaman.
No, I wasn't too sure about that. I thought Adams just climbed all over him. I'm not too sure at all. I thought he had a very definite appeal for at least a free kick there.
I thought he was backing into Adams. Seaman out of his penalty area and waits to make the clearance. Upfield it goes. Anelka's after it. Pearce with a header back into his penalty area. Davies quickly across to head it away. Parlour heads it down, and this time Pearce's header's better, and it's cleared by Davies. It's half-time in Scotland, 1-0 to Hearts. A very early penalty there at Parkhead. The whistle goes for a foul on Kitsbaya. And what are you trying to point out? Martin Keown?
Yeah, I think he just caught him.
Yeah. And the referee indicating as he pulls Kitsbaya to his feet that he's not convinced that he's
good
life-threatening.
I think the referee's done well, because there's a few nitty-gritty tackles flying about early on, and he's one of those who doesn't really want to be noticed, and in the last 20 minutes he hasn't been, so he's obviously doing his job well.
Durkin, England's World Cup referee. Pearce takes the free kick towards Shearer on the far side. Adams is across. Oh, now definitely Shearer calling. That's got to be a yellow card. And the linesman flagged. Durkin goes across, and it should be a yellow card for Alan Shearer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, it was an accident.
No, it wasn't an accident. Of course he meant it. It's one of those born out of frustration. Adams is clearing it. Shearer came into him. He caught Adams. He's not hurt him, but the referee quite rightly gave him a yellow card to Shearer.
I was being sarcastic.
I know you were on.
So Shearer is booked, and Newcastle have had a very poor first half, and Arsenal deservedly lead 1-0. And I can't translate what the Arsenal supporters are calling Alan Shearer at the moment. The irony is, of course, that I'm criticising him there. They're shouting at him here. And in 3 weeks' time, we'll all be cheering him on with England. The referee blows his whistle for half-time, and here's Mark Lawrence.
Well, really, Shearer's challenge, which gave them a yellow booking for the foul on Adams, has summed up Newcastle's first half. They've been very, very poor. They tried to flood the midfield, which worked for the first 15 or 20 minutes. They were very niggardly. They had the tackles in very, very early on with Arsenal. But when you analyse Arsenal, they've broken very, very quickly. More than, 3 or 4 occasions, Arsenal have done Newcastle with just a one ball. Overmars got the goal. Sloppy goal for Newcastle to concede. Arsenal in complete ascendancy until Newcastle really get people up alongside Shearer, get some width. They're never really going to trouble Arsenal in this game.
So there we are, 1-0 to Arsenal at Wembley and 1-0 to Hearts against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Celtic Park. Colin Cameron's penalty after just 2 minutes there. Well, that's all from Wembley for the time being. We'll be back for the second half, of course, but now a bulletin of world news.
BBC World Service, the news read by David Ryder. The Pakistani Foreign Minister has given a strong indication that the country will, after all, conduct a nuclear test in response to those carried out by India. Leaders of the major industrialized nations, the G8, are looking at ways of relieving the debt burden on developing countries. President Suharto said he's reshaping his government after days of rioting and looting across Indonesia. The Pakistani Foreign Minister, Gohar Ayub Khan, says it's close to certain that his country will conduct a nuclear test. He said the only thing to be decided was the timing of the explosion. Speaking in a BBC interview, Mr. Khan said that Pakistan was weighing up how much the international community intended to hurt India
against Ray, and Pistone tidies up and finds Lee, and again it's very bunched up, very compressed inside the centre. No real width yet. Pistone hammers the ball. Doesn't augur well at all. Now Robert Lee gets a ricochet, feeds Barton, whose contribution was negligible really in the first half. It's headed down by Shearer. Neat header to Pistone. They need to get forward much more. Al Nassr, poor ball from Pistone to the far side, but that's one element that Newcastle will look to improve on in the second half, to try and get these wide players going forward with a bit more menace. That's a goal kick to Arsenal.
Better build-up, Mike. Just a very, very poor delivery. I think that's at least 2, if not 3 occasions Pistone's got himself in that position and just crossed it behind the goal line. But good ball into Shearer this time. We just played Pistone and then went to take a position for the cross, which never came, unfortunately.
Offside against Arsenal, and if you are just joining us on 5 Live in World Service, well, really, Newcastle's first half was summed up right at the end of the first half, I thought, when Alan Shearer got a yellow card out of frustration. But now, of course, he has to be very careful with this World Cup referee, Paul Durkin, in charge of the FA Cup final. And Shearer got the yellow card, didn't have any kind of opportunity in the first half, Shearer. The service to him was dreadful. And now Arsenal look to each other at the back, and eventually Winterburn takes responsibility, and then it's charged down by Robert Lee. A bit more aggression here now from Newcastle. Lee whips the ball into the area, volleyed away by Adams, who's really strolling through the first half, and Newcastle need to put him under more pressure. A little back heel from Batty to feed Lee. A bit more determination now from Newcastle. A bit better so far, as rather misunderstanding between Lee and Pistone, but at least, I mean, that was a mistake there, Mark. But, at least a little bit more determination.
But also, they got 3 or 4 black and white shirted players around the ball, something they haven't really done throughout the entire first half, Mike. I think they started quite brightly in the second half. It remains to be seen whether they can obviously continue that.
Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0, and underway, of course, in Scotland, that early penalty for Hearts against Rangers. Now Vieira. Lovely first touch from the tall Frenchman. Feeds Dixon over on the right-hand side. And now good running from Ray. Ray wide on the Arsenal right. This is the far side of the field in the second half. Arsenal leading 1-0. And Vieira miscontrols the pass. And it was a mistake by Vieira. Shearer's got the ball, but there are 3 Arsenal defenders around him. Shearer's bringing the ball to his near side. He doesn't seem to see Barton available. And in the end, he's lost it. Overmars skips over the challenge that he got from Robert Lee and finds Petit. And now Parler controls the ball in the centre circle. It goes into the Newcastle half, but Anelka run offside. And it'll be a free kick to Newcastle.
Pity for Arsenal that Anelka made his run too early. Could have delayed because he had another 30-40 yards of which to run onto. And quite easy, Parler could just dink the ball very softly over the top.
It clouds over for about the first time, and the players will be grateful for that on this very hot day. It's Arsenal leading 1-0. And the ball is with Dabisas of Newcastle, short of the halfway line, right-footed and to the far side and behind Pearce. And all Pearce has to do now, all he can do rather, is to give the ball back to Given. It was a scrappy goal which underlined really the first half from Overmars. The man, of course, who played here for Holland and played a big part in preventing England from going to the World Cup of '94. Now a scandalous challenge by Barton on Petit, just in front of us down the near side. I think Barton's saying that Petit's going to make too much of this, but the referee Paul Durkin is going to produce the second Newcastle yellow card, and that's Warren Barton's.
Yeah, late tackle by Barton, deserved yellow card, man. Petit's made the most of it, Mike. I think someone from RADA will be contacting him after the game.
Let us just quickly bring in Frank Clark, because the second half, Frank, is underway, and we're looking for signs here. Have you seen any signs yet from Newcastle?
4 men around the ball in the Arsenal half, and they definitely look a bit livelier. They've just got to be careful that they don't overstretch themselves too early at the back, but certainly looks a little bit better now.
Arsenal trying to link up down below, Anelka and Overmars, but it doesn't run for them. Now Dabisas looking for a bit of width down the near side, and Robert Lee's there. Lee goes past Winterburn, and Pistone strides forward now for Newcastle. Good play though by Vieira. Where did he come from? Great challenge from Vieira. Back to Adams, and Adams is being put under pressure by Speed, and that's better from Newcastle. More of a challenge certainly from Gary Speed, but in the end he overdoes it, and Paul Durkin's going to give Arsenal a free kick. We've played nearly 5 minutes of the second half at Wembley in the cup final. Petit, who was off the pitch, is now going to come back on again, and Arsenal leading through Overmars' goal halfway through the first half.
Yeah, just a bit more competition in terms of Newcastle with the Arsenal players. It was never going to be a race, was it? Vieira and Pistone. Pistone leggy himself, but Vieira must have a 15-foot kind of bound. He just got there in about 3 strides and took it away from Pistone.
Only one shot at goal from Newcastle in the first half, safely gathered in by Seaman from Kitspire. And now Anelka, neat little header down to Parler. Parler looking to Dixon to get down that right-hand side, and Dixon's on the ball. Back tracking comes Kitspire, and he's brought Dixon down from behind. And it's a free kick. We'll be going to the Scottish Cup final in a moment, where there's been another goal, but first of all a free kick, and that might have been a booking at the World Cup had that occurred. But anyway, it's a free kick to Arsenal, leading 1-0. Petit's going to go across to take this one, left-footed. This is down the Arsenal right. Adams is now making a slow, late entry into the area. Keown staying back. Emmanuel Petit with the free kick, away by Dabisas. And Shearer, it falls to on his own in the centre circle, goes past Winterburn, and he's brought down on the halfway line. And that should be a yellow card to Nigel Winterburn. It is. Let's quickly go to Scotland and Roddy Forsyth.
Well, extraordinary here. Hearts 2, Rangers 0 against all the run of play. Stefan Adam took advantage of a mistake by Amoruso. The Italian tried to take a clearance on his chest, let the Frenchman in behind him, and he got him, reached the shot, couldn't stop it, into the net it went. Hearts 2, Rangers 0.
Well, what about that? Hearts 2, Rangers 0 in Scotland. Arsenal leading here 1-0. The game is opening up a little bit now as Ray hits it long. An interesting television replay there of that challenge from Winterburn on Shearer. I don't know whether you saw that, Mark. What did you think of it?
Looked like he didn't touch him, Mike, at all. Didn't seem to make any contact whatsoever.
Well, Winterburn got the yellow card, and Barton and Shearer have got yellow cards from Newcastle. And Pistoni now hits a long ball, and it's straight to an Arsenal defender, Tony Adams, coasting as ever. And now, once more, Newcastle will be frustrated. Paul Durkin's given a free kick against Warren Barton, who's shaking his fist at the referee, and that's a free kick to Arsenal.
Well, it was a case of feet up, but it was both of them, both Winterburn and Barton. It was 2 3s and a 6, and the referee could, for my money, just played on.
Winterburn with a free kick straight at David Batty of Newcastle. The passing from both sides really has left a lot to be desired in the game. I mean, Arsenal, it has to be said, the champions are not really playing that well, but they're doing enough. They're leading Newcastle 1-0, and Kenny Dalglish looking to his side to try and step up a gear here in the second half as the sun breaks through once more. It's Robert Lee, the Newcastle captain, plays a 1-2 with Pistoni, and then toe pokes the ball to the far side, and Pearce settles on the ball just inside the Arsenal half. Newcastle defending the tunnel away to our left, trying to get an equaliser here, looking now to their Greek international Dabisas. Short ball to Ketspire, and Ketspire just manages to evade Overmars, finding Batty. Ball curled in by Batty, out comes Seaman, and eventually drops on the ball, takes it away from Barton, who'd made a run forward, and Seaman throws accurately now to Winterburn. Winterburn to Mark Overmars, tucked in down this near side. Lovely ball from Overmars. Excellent running from Parler as well. Parler running across the field. The challenge comes in from behind from Dabisas. Out comes the yellow card straight away.
Well, on that occasion, Dabisas definitely took Parler's legs away from him. Parler was at least half a yard in front of him, caught by Dabisas from behind. That's a sending off in the World Cup, by the way.
And I tell you what, as well, one more rash challenge from Winterburn, and he would go off. And having seen that replay, that really was a joke, that yellow card on Shearer. Now, free kick to Arsenal. It's a good 30-35 yards away from Gibbons' goal. It's almost central, and it's going to be Petit laying it off to Overmars. Inside the area, Mark Overmars. Volleyed away by Howie. Newcastle still on the edge of their own area. Batty's going to try and dribble clear, and then he's brought down by Petit. Petit, remember, sent off by Paul Durkin earlier in the season in the goalless draw against Aston Villa when he pushed the referee. Now Gary Speed following that free kick. Long ball by Speed, and Shearer is 10 yards offside, catches the ball because he wants the game, of course, to restart as quickly as possible. Shearer getting booed by the Arsenal fans, and it's a free kick to them. Adams to take. Looks down the centre and then hits it very high. Looping ball. Pearce will head this away for Newcastle. Speed under pressure from Parler. Turns with the ball. Speed already a little bit more effective at the start of the second half. Now Barton's playing in field more in this second half. It's Newcastle building. Batty down the right-hand side to Barton, and in went Tony Adams. Barton wants a handball there against Tony Adams. It's going to be only a throw-in to Newcastle. Halfway inside the Arsenal half. He's given the free kick, has he?
Yeah, he's given the free kick.
The referee's given the free kick for the handball against Adams. So Dabisas can go forward for Newcastle. And the free kick to be taken by Robert Lee. Speed will be dangerous as well. In goes the free kick. Dabisas and Shearer got in each other's way. They're appealing for the corner kick, and it hasn't gone their way. It's a goal kick to Arsenal, still leading here 1-0.
I looked from here, man, because then maybe Adams had got the last touch to it, but certainly did in the business of just throwing the balls in there. And, you know, there's one thing about Shearer and Davies had as good in the air as Yard, the likes of Keown and Adams, Vieira all battling in there for the headers, and it's more of a case of trying to get the second one, you know, the bounce down, the knockdown, and at the moment Newcastle don't even look like they're in the first challenge.
There's much discussion between Kenny Dalglish down there and Terry McDermott. Kenny Dalglish, who's taken his suit off now, he's wearing shorts and tracksuit down there, and they have to time this, they have to get it right. They will have to do something soon, of course. It's 1-0 to Arsenal on this hot day. And you'd think probably with half an hour to go they might think about someone like Anderson coming on. Also on the bench they've got John Barnes as well. It's a throw to Arsenal on the halfway line over on the far side, and indeed Arsenal too might think about the likes of Ian Wright and David Platt. Now Vieira hits it long, too long I think for Parler. Out comes Gibbon, and safely gathered in by him, the Republic of Ireland international. Arsenal's Grimondi warming up with Platt. Anderson's certainly down there as well on the touchline, the Swede. Glances now off Shearer to Barton. He doesn't control it though. It's away by Winterburn for Arsenal. Just down below us on the Arsenal left is Overmars. Overmars in a tangle with Lee. Foul by Lee on Overmars. Still an untidy cup final, and a free kick to Newcastle, to Arsenal, short of the halfway line. Winterburn to take it. And Arsenal themselves haven't yet been asked to produce in this game as Anelka takes on Dabisas. Anelka, good footwork. Back to Overmars. Overmars comes in field. Plays it slightly behind Parler. Parler with great power goes through the challenge from Speed, but now it's available to Ketspire. Ketspire struck the ball really too fiercely towards Shearer. He couldn't control it,
It really summed up some of the sort of service he's been given in the game. As Seaman hammers the ball back inside the Newcastle half, there's no offside flag, but Given will get that on the edge of his own area. And here comes the clearance from Shea Given. Hanging ball towards the halfway line, thumped back again by Winterburn. Again, there's no flag for offside. Newcastle not pushing up quickly enough. And Batty finds Ketspire short of the halfway line. Ketspire's running through the centre circle. He's faced by Petit. Ketspire goes past Petit, then into Shearer it goes, but Adams is quicker. Adams against Shearer, having a storming game, the Arsenal captain. Tight for Vieira in the centre of Arsenal's midfield, so he gets away from the danger zone. Stabs the ball to this near side. Winterburn hits it quickly and long towards Anelka. Anelka gets above Davisas, but Howie's there waiting to drop on the ball to get Newcastle moving from the back and crosses the halfway line. Then Steve Howie's held up by Parler. He can't go forward. Still Howie. Uses the left back over on the far side, Pearce. And, Pearce is going to have to go back to his goalkeeper.
There's absolutely nothing on, Mike, at the moment for a Newcastle player. Control of the ball, get your head up, have a little look, maybe a ball into Shearer, just the same as the first half. Really. Anderson away to our right is doing a long warm. He's going to have to come on.
Shearer brought down by Adams. Yeah, the free kick's been given. And it's still Hearts 2, Rangers 0 in Scotland in the Scottish Cup final. So Rangers could end the season without the double they were looking for just a couple of weeks ago. Now, free kick to Newcastle. There's no way that Shearer's going to take this one. Shearer at the moment is inside the penalty area, around about the penalty spot. Robert Lee and Warren Barton are over the ball. Lee tees the ball in, looking for speed. Not cleared yet by Arsenal. Now it is from Keown. Hasn't put a foot wrong in the final, Martin Keown. And Stuart Pearce is going to settle for the throw-in over on the far side. Still, Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. A goal from Overmars after 23 minutes. In the absence of Bergkamp, the other Dutchman, Overmars, got the goal. Long ball now from Newcastle. Looking to try and play it over Dixon. And down goes Speed. But referee's given the goal kick. Speed hoping for a bit more there, but a goal kick to Arsenal.
It's a hopeful ball played in by Barton. I think Speed got in front of Dixon. I think he felt as though Dixon nudged him in the back as he gained control of the ball. Eventually knocked it out, Speed, but the referee's given the goal kick. And I'm pretty sure it's only a matter of time now before Anderson comes on. I would imagine for Ketspire, a straight swap, play him up through the middle alongside Shearer and try and just lengthen Newcastle's game out a bit and try and turn Arsenal around at the back.
They'll need some running, Newcastle. Try and inject a bit of pace from the blonde-haired Anderson. Ketspire, in the meantime, over on the far side, hasn't really been able to impose himself in the game. The ball on the halfway line, a back over the head from Batty. Adams' header. Seaman will scramble across and save it. But half an hour to go only in the cup final. Arsenal heading for the double for the second time in their history as England goalkeeper Seaman puts the ball back inside the Newcastle half. It glances off Anelka, and how he's done is put into the crowd over on the far side. And if Arsenal win the cup, they'll do it without having won a single game at Highbury in the competition. And also, of course, having got through a couple of penalty shootouts as well. Port Vale and West Ham. The margin can be so slender, can't it? Throw to Arsenal. Inside the Newcastle half down the far side. Never really runs for them, though. Ray, I don't think, will keep it in. Another messy bit of play. And now a throw to Newcastle. And still we wonder, when will be the moment? It could be now, I think, as Andrea Anderson just turned around and thought he was being called back. But he's been told just to do a little more loosening up. Newcastle throwing. Pearce throws the ball into the Arsenal half. Speed heads it down. Batty just knocked it forward as quickly as he could. But Keown was back, and Keown, as he usually does, just thumps the ball back towards the halfway line. A header from Lee now. Ketspire jumping with Tony Adams. It's still in the air. Newcastle looking for a free kick. Then Shearer thrusts the ball forward, and there's nobody there to feed off it. He needs Anderson now to come on and give him a bit of support, bit of help. And the ball once more is with Seaman in the Arsenal goal. And again, Arsenal, you sense, on this very hot day, just conserving a little energy, showing their experience, and then it's downfield once more from Seaman. Howie will surely beat Ray in the air. It's glanced away to the far side. Pearce needs to keep it in, and then just thumps it straight back to an Arsenal player. Nice little volley this time from Keown. Newcastle trying to press in midfield. Header forward now, and Shearer onto Batty. Switch to Barton. Newcastle now looking to Robert Lee to try and inspire them from midfield. He's trying to go past Petit. In goes Vieira. The challenge looked all right. The referee's given a free kick. As Lee is sandwiched, and this free kick to Newcastle is no more than 5 yards away from the area. Shearer's already in position, waiting to be served. No suggestion of him taking this one, but Pearce might fancy it. Remember his goal here in the cup final for Forest against Tottenham. What a story this would be if Pearce can crash in an equaliser, and he's certainly having a good look at it. Arsenal setting up a wall of three. Pearce, Mark, what do you think?
It's not enough in the wall for me, Mike. You need another body in there. Well, it's definitely going to be a Pearce hit from here.
He's done it many times in his football life. Stuart Pearce for Newcastle. Do they need something now? 17 minutes gone in the second half. They trail 1-0. Pearce's free kick. It takes a deflection. Arsenal just about wriggle it clear. Parlour, though, is caught by Lee. Good challenge. And now Davisas, the defender, down the left-hand side, goes down outside the area. Free kick to Newcastle.
Well, it's very, very dramatic. Throw himself to the floor by Davisas. I'm sure Adams did court him, but there's no way to do that. You're only going to get your fellow players booked.
Well, we've got a free kick to Newcastle. A bit better from them in the second half. Still not really posing any consistent danger to Seaman. The free kick to be taken by Robert Lee. Alongside Shearer is Keown, some 5 or 6 yards out. Lee with a free kick for Newcastle. Chipped in, and a header from Davisas. Did it just bounce the bar as it went over? I think it did. Davisas not far away there, and that'll encourage Newcastle. There's the big roar.
Yeah, just a ball played into the far post, and Davisas was the last man, and he flung himself at the ball, attacked it, didn't realise it was going to come to him till quite late, and it's more of the top of the head, Mike, that eventually clipped the top of the crossbar. It will certainly raise Newcastle's hopes as Arsenal about to make a substitution.
Well, it's an interesting one because Christopher Wray is coming off, and you might think, listening, that perhaps this could be the moment for Ian Wright to come on for Christopher Wray. Well, it's not. It's a good moment in sport, though, because David Platt, who's achieved much in his career, has yet to experience this moment. An FA Cup final coming on with Arsenal leading 1-0, and David Platt comes on for Christopher Wray. What do you make of that, Mark?
Well, I think what they're going to do is just leave Anelka up front and say to Platt, you do the running from midfield, get an extra body in there. And they know that Newcastle are going to push forward, and Platt, the great thing about him from those areas in midfield, he times his run very, very well. Even now at his age, he's into his 30s, and he could well get a goal from him from that area.
No stranger to this stadium, of course. Played here with great distinction for England. And now he's on, and Newcastle, having been given a free kick for offside, hit it long. Pearce, again, it's going to bounce away from Shearer. He has been poorly served in this final, as now Vieira lifts the ball over Howie. In came a challenge from Davisas, which slightly put Vieira off. Newcastle, though, still under great pressure. Howie, the whistle's gone. In the end, Vieira's been denied by the referee, Paul Durkin. And this is a free kick to Newcastle on the edge of the... There are only 25 minutes to go here. And Arsenal still leading through Overmars' goal after 23 minutes of the first half. Ketspire comes to this near side. This is the Newcastle right. Now Batty on the halfway line, running square. And Batty onto speed, but he didn't really look speed. Oh, and a mistake by Keown. Shearer in the area. Shearer from the angle. Hits the post. Shearer hits the far post after the mistake by Martin Keown. He struck it like a torpedo. It looked like it was going to go in. It hits the post and rebounds to safety, and Arsenal still lead.
A bad mistake by Keown. Shearer had to take it right-footed away from the goal and hit it very, very early, which I think caught Seaman by surprise. Still setting himself. Hit it very, very hard. Hits inside the post and comes back out. The look's not in.
We were just looking. Well, I was really expecting the net to bulge then. Shearer hits the post. Arsenal survive. David Platt wins the ball now and then comes in field. Strikes it long with his left foot to this near side, and Overmars will give up on that. And after 20 and a half minutes of the second half, a big roar from the Newcastle end. Shearer might have equalised. A mistake by Martin Keown. There won't be many more of those in the game. But Newcastle haven't managed to exploit it. The ball now is with Arsenal. Winterburn for Overmars, who's been very quiet in the second half. Newcastle take the ball easily off Overmars, who looks tired. The ball is with Davisas on the edge of the Newcastle area. Can't hit it long this time. Plays it short instead to Pistoni. Now Pistoni looking for Shearer. Adams against Shearer. Adams wins the ball, but now Shearer tries to find Barton. Brilliant work from Vieira, though. Came back from the Newcastle half to win a tackle. And now Keown trying to settle himself down after that mistake. Finds Parlour, who gets away from Barton easily in midfield. Anelka now on the chase for Arsenal. Parlour's gone for the return. Great cutout by Davisas. Otherwise Parlour could have cut through and the game opens up again. Barton now to Ketspire. Doesn't control it. Should have done. In comes Winterburn. Poor play by Ketspire. Winterburn for Arsenal. Edge of the area. Davisas throws himself, and then in the end Winterburn's lifted that over the bar, and it's a goal kick to Newcastle.
But the game's opened up completely since the Shearer chance. Back off the post, Arsenal down one end. Again, Newcastle broke very, very quickly. Just sense a bit more urgency now about Newcastle's play. They suddenly realise that time's going out. They're going to start to have to take one or two more chances, and in doing so they might make themselves some chances.
And still no sign yet of Andreas Andersen, and almost 3/4 of the game gone. The ball with Newcastle, not for long. Lee's given it away, and now Overmars. Lee trying to atone for his mistake, comes back and challenges well against Overmars. You can certainly never fault Robert Lee for work rate, and it's a throw to Arsenal, taking plenty of time down this near side of the field. Well, it's been a marginally better second half, but it's still not really what you'd like from an FA Cup final. Throw to Winterburn and Arsenal, halfway inside the Newcastle half. Thrown down to Petit. Petit, little shuffle in field, then back to Adams on the halfway line. Looks like he's going to stumble, and like he always does, he regains his composure. And Arsenal's triangle down the left doesn't work out. But Lee can't get forward, he's blocked by Overmars. So we're at the halfway point already of the second half, and taking you through to the final whistle, Alan Green.
Well, it is marginally better, there's no question about that. And Newcastle owe it to their fans to search properly for an equaliser now. Shearer, back to Speed. Barton's gone on a run down the left side. Speed, as an alternative, goes to the right towards the near touch line, and then he's forced to check by the presence of three Arsenal defenders, plays it back to Lee, and now Pistoni, running infield towards the centre circle, to Howie, Pearce on the far side, Batty close by, ignored by Pearce, he plays it further upfield, simple header clear by Kiln. Davizas knocks it back, straight to Winterburn. Winterburn infield, but not a good ball. It was intercepted initially by Batty, and now Winterburn gets a second chance to clear it, and it's terribly scrappy again. 1-0 to Arsenal, Overmars' goal after 23 minutes. But Shearer's hit the inside of the post. Barton for Newcastle. Back to Davizas once more, midway inside his own half, away to our left, in front of the tunnel end. And now Howie. Howie up over the halfway line. Simple interception by Dixon. Headed down by Vieira to Parler. Parler lifts it forward, and Elka's onside. Takes it on his chest, ahead of the defender into the penalty. Shoots Arsenal to the double. Nicholas Anelka was onside. The linesman kept his flag down. Newcastle protest, but Anelka celebrates, and Arsenal win the double for a second time. 2-0 Arsenal, Anelka's goal.
Such clinical finishing as well. I think maybe I thought straight away that Anelka was just offside, Alan, just probably half a yard the other side of the Newcastle defender. Wasn't given. Good ball by Parler, taken on his chest by Anelka. Front to Howie. Howie couldn't tackle him. Devastating right foot finish across given. Game over.
Batty's lost a boot, but it's all over. All over. Arsenal, but again, not played that well today by the high standards they set. But that was a terrific finish by Anelka. He kept his head over the ball, drilled it low. Even Wenger was up off the bench, punching the air. Arsenal can celebrate.
Yeah, the goal was offside, but of course it stands. It's been given.
Long ball upfield towards Shearer, headed down. Speed inside the penalty area, forced to run wide. How long will Kenny Dalglish delay before Anderson comes on? Gets by, crosses into the box. Seaman stretches, palms it away, and then collects it. And Seaman hasn't had a great deal to do. He couldn't do anything about that Shearer shot, which had him beaten. But as you say, Mark, it's not really Newcastle's day today.
No, I think we said when David Platt came on that I thought Arsenal would get another goal. It's just the way the game's been. It's set up for it.
Parler runs through. Terrific run by Ray Parler. And as he brought down outside the penalty area, this could be a sending off offence. Howie was the guilty party, and it's only a yellow card. Now, Davizas was close by as well. The Greek has saved him.
Yeah. The presence of Davizas might have just got to Parler, was obviously uppermost in the referee Paul Durkin's mind. Otherwise, Howie would be down in front of us on the bench. Well, be sent from the field to play, full stop.
I've got to say, I still think he was very lucky to escape a sending off there.
World Cup is gone.
Very, very lucky. Oh, World Cup. Davizas wouldn't have been on the pitch anyway. He'd have been sent off for his earlier challenge. Newcastle could have been down to 9 men. So Arsenal lead 2-0. And they've got a free kick just outside the Newcastle penalty area, and there is silence at the Newcastle end, away to the left in the tunnel. Now, will it be Overmars, or will it be Petit? A yard from the edge of the D. Platt makes a run into the 6-yard box. Coaxes the player off the line. Petit waits. Petit's going to head it left-footed, drifting up over the wall and up over the crossbar.
Yeah, it wasn't a bit like Shearer's attempt in the first half down that end. Also, Batty was going to go and stand on the post, It was
clever work by Platt, wasn't it? Because he ran in there and forced Batty off the line.
And then Vieira as well. Vieira went in also, so he had to really then get Batty off, and Batty then had to tell Given to take a step nearer to the left-hand side. 19 minutes left at Wembley Stadium. This is 5 Live in the BBC World Service. The 1998 FA Cup final. Arsenal lead 2-0. And where is Anderson? Well, he's got his tracksuit top off now. A little late, I suspect.
Batty plays it forward. Adams heads it carefully away. Adams has won that battle with Shearer without question. He finds Winterburn down the near side, Arsenal left. And the champions are about to become cup winners as well. Pistone to Barton. Barton's return pass well ahead of the Italian, out of play. And what is Dalglish waiting for? I don't really understand this.
Too little, too late. Even now, he doesn't seem to want to bring him on. Is he coming on? Yes, he's coming on.
At long last. Will he make any difference? This is the point. And who's coming off? Pearce. Well, what'll he do here? Will he go to... he can go to a back three if he wants.
No, Barton can go to right back. Pistone can go to left. I think that's what's happening.
That's what they're doing. Howie and Cabezas in the middle. A reminder in Scotland that it's 2-0 for Hearts against Rangers. That Scottish Cup final almost won as well. Here at Wembley, Arsenal lead Newcastle by 2-0. First Overmars, then Anelka. Once more the foreign influence. And the celebrations to our right, well, there must be 20,000 red and white flags there. And they're all being waved at the moment. And then you look to the left, and there's a solitary, disconsolate black and white flag being waved. Arsenal on the attack down the far side. It's Platt, threads the ball through, and then did it take a deflection? Yeah, it did, and it's a corner.
It was off Pistone, wasn't it? Even it was a poor ball by Platt. Pistone didn't realise there's nobody behind him. Just stuck out a right foot, deflected it away. But I mean, when you analyse the cup final, Alan, Arsenal really been playing at something like 60 or 70%, and they're still very, very comfortable. They've been cruising through the second half. There's always a danger when there's only 1 goal to nil lead, but because now it's 2, it's so easy for them. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't score another one.
17 minutes to go. Petit's corner, driven in low, and a header away by Lee, out of play on the far side. And they didn't even bother sending Keown and Adams up there. They can just look after Shearer. 3 on Shearer at the moment, because Winterburn's on back as well. Arsenal thrown in the far side, taken by Dixon to Parlour. Parlour fairly tackled, according to Durkin. And now here's Anderson, the substitute. Up over the halfway line, away on the far side. He's already midway inside the Arsenal half. 2 challenges over there to him. Anderson still has the ball, just for a second, and then it's hit out of play by Parlour.
But straight away, as soon as there's any danger regarding Arsenal, we've got at least 3 red shirts round the ball.
Have Newcastle got anything in this cup final? I don't think that the win is as emphatic as it was in 1974, but I'll bet those Newcastle fans will feel just as let down. This is a poor performance by the Geordies today. Here's Winterburn for Arsenal, just ahead of the day of his own penalty area. Slides the pass to Parlour, who's playing very well. Parlour looking to Anelka. Anelka's after it. Howie's across. Anelka's first touch wasn't clever, and Howie with a pass back to his goalkeeper.
Pity for Arsenal that when Anelka eventually turned himself round so he's facing the ball. His touch was sloppy, otherwise he can run at Howie. Howie, of course, already been booked. Maybe fortunate to stay on the pitch. He could have run at Howie, got him in the penalty area and caused problems.
Here's Batty to Kitspire down the near side. I wonder if... I'm not sure Arsene Wenger, he's all that sentimental and would wish to bring Ian Wright on. We'll see. There's still a quarter of an hour to go. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Throw in down the near side is to Arsenal, to Winterburn, and only one half of Wembley is celebrating. And they're no longer boring. No longer boring at all. No longer lucky either. This is the best team in England at the moment, without question. Arsenal lead Newcastle 2-0. Already champions of the Premiership, and heading for the double. 14 minutes away. Overmars will put them in front. Beats Barton easily. And then Barton's brought him down. Barton's already been booked. He's going to get away with a free kick. And he's a lucky boy.
Yeah, well, he's looking so far as Davies has again, like he was with Howie. There's the next man that Overmars would come into contact to. But also in a wide position. I think 1 or 2 of the referees might have given Barton another booking, therefore sending off.
So he brought him down from behind. Yeah. On its own in the World Cup, he'd have been off. I think the referee... no, choke is not the word I'll use. I'll only think about it. We're going to have another substitution. Is that Watson who's going to come on shortly? And he would actually give an attacking option, Steve Watson. He can play up front. Meantime, Arsenal free kick. Winterburn to Petit. On to Anelka inside the penalty area. Platts on the far post. Anelka's cross is weak. And it's drifting behind for a goal kick. 79,183. I thought capacity was only 78,000 at Wembley these days, but... There you go, they squeezed another 1,183 in. I know a few have got in who shouldn't be in, but I'm not telling how. And they can call an FA inquiry and I won't tell them either. 13 minutes to go. Adams clears from the edge of his own penalty, whacks it away to the far side, and out of play for a throw into Newcastle.
I think it'd be Barton coming off. Yeah, it is.
Well, I think that's sensible, actually. He's already been booked. He should have been sent off there. And now he is going off. And Watson's come on. Will he just stay as a right back? What's he going to do here?
I would think so. Great for Overmars, isn't it? It's a case of, by the way, we played 3 players against you throughout the day.
Well, he just slipped the ball past Barton and then, a little sprint and he was away.
Rolls Royce and a larder, wasn't it?
No advertising. 13 minutes to go. 2-0 to Arsenal.
A larder.
Shearer to Watson, the substitute. Chipped on, intercepted by Adams. Adams to Overmars. Arsenal finding this very easy now. Parlour on towards Anelka. Davies has a cross. Heads it carefully to the near side to Watson, who slides it forward down the touchline. Lee, the Newcastle captain, beaten by an emphatic challenge from Winterburn. And then Parlour plays it forward. Anelka's afterward, given out of his goal. Gets there first, hits it into the crowd.
Oh, well done, Given. When the ball was played and I saw the race, I thought, oh dear, Shea Given, you better be quick. But you get about 3 or 4 yards start and just got there in front of Anelka.
You can see Arsenal picking off another goal or two here, the way things are going.
Well, also, it's difficult to know what Newcastle have done. I think they just said to Catspire, just go and play kind of on that inside rightist position in midfield. So they're still playing 4-4-2 and they're 2-0 down in the FA Cup final. And look, there's not too long left.
At the moment, there's no Newcastle player within 40 yards of Alan Shearer. The ball's just to the right of the Newcastle penalty area, and it was headed away by Batty, but it obviously touched Anelka, and it's going to be a Newcastle throw in as a result. Level with the edge of their own penalty area. Near side, Newcastle right. And the Newcastle end is a sorry end at the moment. They are fantastic supporters, arguably the best in the country. And what are they getting for it? Another poor display from their team in a cup final. Here's Petit. Petit chips the ball forward. We're going to Parkhead in just a moment, but Anelka has it for Arsenal, who are 2-0 up. Now it's cleared by Newcastle. Come in, Ronnie Forsyth.
Yes, come in also Ali McCoy's, the man rejected by Craig Brown for the Scotland squad, has brought Rangers right back into it with 9 minutes remaining. A forceful ball from Gattuso on the edge of the box, and it was vintage McCoy swinging around his marker. One shot away past Rusey, and it's now Hearts 2, Rangers 1.
Thanks, Roddy, here at Wembley. Listened to by 5 Live in the BBC World Service. 10 minutes left. Arsenal 2-0 up here against Newcastle United, 10 minutes away from the double. Winterburn heads it clear. Overmars juggles with the ball, beaten though by a good challenge by Lee. And now Batty slides it to Watson. The pass a little short. Watson made something of it. He's got Anderson to his right, but he crosses low, bounces once, straight to Seaman.
Yeah, I think his cross hit Petit and was deflected straight to Seaman. And you're asking a lot of Watson to come on and take care of Overmars straight away, and then look to supply you with some crosses and pace and a bit of possession down the right-hand side.
They look very tired now, Newcastle, as well. The legs look leaden, and not surprising on a day like this, so hot and humid at Wembley Stadium, and you're 2-0 down, and what are you feeling like? You're feeling miserable. Vieira laid on by Anelka. Overmars is there. Oh, Watson gets across. He's quicker than Barton, and it's cleared by Davies outside of play.
Just as well as it was Watson in that instance, because he's got the pace that will certainly match Overmars. Of course, he's got very, very fresh legs at the moment, and we just see Overmars doubled up then.
I was very surprised Watson didn't start the game, because he's a good defender and he's quick. And if anybody was going to look after Overmars, it would have been him.
I'm not quite sure whether he's fully fit, Alan. I think that's obviously thought that it was going to be the gamble.
Davies ass jumps with Anelka. The header down, falls to Batty. Just 6 yards in advance of his own penalty area. Slides it away to Bastoni on the far side. Long dark hair trailing as he approaches the halfway line. And skips past the challenge of Parlour. Still running, and Parlour's in there again, diving in with his right foot, diverting the ball out of play. Has he given a free kick, the referee?
I think the referee has. I thought it was a perfectly legitimate tackle.
Well, it is. It's only a throw-in. Bastoni throws the ball back to Batty. Batty to Speed. Big disappointment, Gary Speed. Now Lee. And Watson down the near side. Newcastle at least committing lots of players forward into the Arsenal half. Kicks by from a pass by Watson. Tries to return the favour. Intercepted by Winterburn and taken away by Overmars. Infield to Vieira. Anelka ahead of him. And it's played through. And the flag stayed down initially. And then the linesman thought better of it. Raised it. It's offside.
Well, I'm not sure whether the linesman was waiting to see whether Vieira was played it through and then was running after it. I think that's probably his first thought. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt anyway.
Lee for Newcastle. Won't be lifting the cup unless something dramatic happens here. Forward to Shearer. Shearer 25 yards out. Shoots straight into the body of Adams, and Adams just shrugs it off.
He's gone about 70 yards.
Pistoni collects away on the far side. Arsenal with everyone back inside their own half at the moment, but they're just taking it easy. They're not under any serious pressure here. Though a goal would change it. Petit tackles Lee, wins the ball, finds Parlour. Forward to Platt. Anelka skips away to the right, and the pass is through from Platt. Anelka's away. Pistoni's after him. Anelka's got there. There's no Arsenal player into the penalty area except for Anelka. Holding the ball up, playing it back. Parlour drives the shot in, screams over the crossbar.
Brilliant play by Anelka. 2-0 up in the cup final. He's looked to exactly where he wanted the ball from Platt. He's got himself in front of Pistoni. He held him off. won the physical challenge, eventually got the ball under control, brought you an extra 1 or 2 seconds, allow your midfield players up, plays the ball back in. Marvellous frontman running.
Inside the last 8 minutes. Reminding you that at Parkhead, it's Hearts 2, Rangers 1 in the Scottish Cup final. Here at Wembley, Arsenal 2, Newcastle United 0. Parlour on the far side. Anderson, one of the Newcastle substitutes, after him, trying to harass him, but Parlour holds it up well and then plays it back, and Martin Keown, who slipped, almost allowed Shearer to score. He's not too worried about it now. Finding Vieira, now Winterburn, over the halfway line, left of the centre circle, room to run into. And he's midway inside the Newcastle half. Back to Overmars, who scored the first goal. Infield to Petit. Slide pass forward into the penalty area. Overmars after it. Out comes Given, gathers and throws it quickly away to Watson.
Well, Arsenal just completely dominating the game now, as you would expect. And, super passing, lots of support. And they've got so many options on the ball at the moment that Newcastle are chasing shadows, look very, very tired, and every time they get the ball in front of them, Newcastle, there's not many options for them.
Watson to Speed. Speed lets it run between his legs. Parlour was there anticipating that. He finds Winterburn, and there's Adams, and Petit, and Vieira, and kicks by in, winning the ball back from Newcastle. The singing, no doubt, is from the Arsenal fans. And, they'll be singing their way into the Champions League next season, and the only consolation for Newcastle is that they were guaranteed a Cup Winners' Cup entry, whatever happened here this afternoon. John Barnes is going to come on shortly for Newcastle as they're on the attack. It's played away. Kicks by, shoots left-footed, falls for Shearer, he's onside! And the tackle comes in from Nigel Winterburn. What a challenge. Shearer can't believe it. He had a chance to bring it. Newcastle back in, and it's snuffed out.
Great presence of mind by Winterburn. Misplaced shot by Kitspire. Shearer definitely onside. Good first touch. He sized up exactly where Seaman was coming from off his line, and there was Winterburn, split second, nicked it off his toes.
He's the best left-sided defender in the country at the moment, Nigel Winterburn. Best English left-sided defender, no question about that, but he's not going to France. Lee with a corner for Newcastle. Hit deep into the penalty, headed back towards goal. Headed away by Winterburn. Shearer shoots, blocked by Keown. Rebounds to Watson, edge of the day. He's tackled, foul tackle. It's a free kick to Newcastle.
Good chance for Shearer in amongst all that, and the ball fell to him some 15 yards out, right on his right foot, on the volley, and not sure who blocked it, but somebody just literally, a red shirt, threw themselves at Shearer, threw themselves at the ball, and that is Arsenal for you. That epitomises the spirit of the side.
5 minutes to go. 2-0 to Arsenal. Barnes is going to come on for Kitspire before this free kick is taken. What can he do in 5 minutes? Not fair, is it really? So the free kick to Newcastle, from which you feel they've really got to score if they've got any chance in this 1998 Cup final. 5 minutes to go. It has to be Shearer's right foot, surely. There are 4 players in the Arsenal wall. A couple more lurking to the left. Shearer drives it in wide.
Well, I'm not sure about the wall. I'm not sure what happened to the wall there, because it's gone almost through them, towards the side of them, certainly, and I think Seaman's had a go at these defenders. It's very unusual for Seaman to get very demonstrative about anything, and I'm not sure what happened to them, but I'm pretty sure it went through them, Alan.
I think it was Overmars. He turned his back as Shearer struck, and it just, he turned side on instead of full on, and it slipped inside.
Well, he's a forward. They do turn the back in the wall, don't they?
Yeah, they're not very brave, are they? You would say that. 4 minutes to go. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Clearance upfield by Seaman, headed back by Dabizas, and away by Adams to the near side. Winterburn jumps, heads it down. Batty's there for Newcastle, but his ball forward hacked away by Adams, out of play. And who would you pick as man of... Not that we've got a man of the match, but let's say I give him this cup of water. Who would you pick?
Vieira.
Yeah, and he's 21. It's frightening. Absolutely frightening. Terrific player. And yet he's not certain of being in Jacquet's squad for the World Cup. Neither is Petit. Neither is Anelka, whose goal has clinched this double for Arsenal. Platt plays it towards Anelka. Oh, good tackle by Dabizas, who was beaten for pace initially, but then thrust out a long right leg and diverted the ball away. Arsenal have it again on the far side. 3 minutes to go. Parlour running down the right and then cutting infield away from Bastoni. Parlour still going into the penalty area, and he shoots into the side of the netting behind for a goal kick.
Brilliant by Parlour. It really epitomises what he's done throughout the season. So direct. Faced by 2 defenders, wasn't daunted. Inside Bastoni's legs, got round the other side of him. Not sure it didn't clip the outside of the post. It did.
I'll tell you this too. He's a disappointed player not to be in the 30 for this Saudi Arabian game and the trip to Casablanca. And the season he's had, well, he's every reason to be disappointed. 3 minutes to go at Wembley. Arsenal 2, Newcastle United 0. Arsenal still tackling as if there was something dramatic at stake here, but I think Newcastle know they're a beaten side. Pistoni plays it forward to Anderson. He's made absolutely no impact since coming on as substitute. Back it goes to Davizas inside the centre circle. Lee available to his right. Davizas steps in, field from Overmars, finds Barnes. Back to Anderson, who's come across the pitch from left to right. Now he thinks the cross in towards the far post. It's going to beat Davizas, and it's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, Seaman was always in control. Knew exactly where his goals were, knew exactly where the ball was, knew exactly where Davizas was, and he came out and went as though he was going to come and collect the cross and just dropped his arms down. But certainly talked about Arsenal, and I just think it's marvellous to watch them play insofar as when they do lose the ball, they've got those midfield players. Again, they're in a line, the three of them, Parlo, Vieira, Petit. They are just such fantastic protection for the back four players, and that's whether they're playing poorly or whether they're playing outstandingly. And today, they've just done enough in all areas.
Overmars, just some long range. Oh, terrific effort from Mark Overmars. He spotted that Gibbon was 8 yards off his line. He knew precisely what he was doing. He tried to volley it over the goalkeeper's head. What a fantastic goal it would have been. Gibbon gets back.
Marvellous bit of skill. Half volley, right foot, 45 yards away.
Brilliant. And that just sums up the last 3 months for Arsenal. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. And to their eternal credit, the Newcastle fans are singing. Anderson comes forward for Newcastle United into the penalty. He's still going, Anderson. Needs to get a shot in. Lays it back, driven in by Speed. No, it's wide. Should have found the target, Gary Speed.
Well, again, marvellous play by Anderson. I didn't know how he got into the penalty area and got so far, but he's allowed to get so far. Possibly people not going to want to tackle him in that penalty area. Laid the ball back to Speed. But again, he struck it wide, but bodies at him, Alan, straight away. 3 or 4 red shirts straight in the line of Speed's sight, which made him drag it wide of the post.
Goal kick to Arsenal. And David Seaman will take it. We're inside the final minute of the 1998 Cup Final. Seconds away from Arsenal claiming their second double. The first, remember, was in 1971. In similar vein, they came from behind in the Championship to pip Leeds, and then they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup, beat Liverpool in the FA Cup final. Here they're beating Newcastle United. Shearer, being booed by the Arsenal fans, wins a corner off Keown, and it'll be the final attacking movement from Newcastle United.
Well, and if they do score, it's going to be a consolation prize in what has really been Arsenal's total domination of the FA Cup final and the Premier League in the last 4 months.
The corner, as they move into stoppage time, taken by Lee from the right-footed. Lots of Newcastle players to aim at. It's headed down, and Speed has to retreat to the edge of the penalty area. Plays it back to Watson. Plays it in right-footed. Vieira is there, Mark Lawrenson's man of the match, and Vieira runs it clear. And then he runs into Batty. Batty to Davizas. And still they probe Newcastle, but that's a poor ball from Robert Lee. And then a foul, surely, by Batty. Now the referee's not even going to bother giving it. It's a goal kick.
Well, it sums up Newcastle, really, for me. Alan, you know, on occasions when they had the ball 30, 40 yards away from the Arsenal goal, they seem to have 1 or 2 volleys in and around the goal. The final pass generally has been poor, and the best chance they had came from an Arsenal mistake, Keown's mistake. Fell to Shearer, hit it very, very quickly, very early, left-footed, superb shot, ricocheted back off the post.
The referee, Paul Durkin, has looked to his 2 linesmen. Seaman's goal kick, final check of the watch. Wait for the whistle to celebrate the double for Arsenal. Play continues for the moment. And Grimaldi's going to come on as a substitute in stoppage time. I don't know why. Maybe it's an injury to Winterburn. He seems to be troubled a little bit at the moment. It's hit upfield by Keown, and Overmars is after it, and Davizas has to be careful. Good header back by the Greek to his goalkeeper Gibbon. Throws it out. Another glance by Paul Durkin to the watch. Still play continues. Robert Lee for Newcastle, forward to Shearer, who hoped it might be his day, and would have watched as Lee went up to claim the trophy. It's not going to be. Hearts have beaten Rangers by 2-1. Arsenal poised to claim victory here at Wembley. Is that the final whistle? Paul Durkin looks for the ball. Adams says, no, it's mine. He wants to hack it high into the crowd. And Arsenal celebrate. And commiserations to Newcastle fans who deserve better.
Well, quite simply, Arsenal have been outstanding throughout the last 4 months, Alan. I think this is a culmination for them. And they didn't really have to play that well today. I thought it was a bit of a scrappy game, but it always suited Arsenal. They always had players in position. They always had players in positions that were going to hurt Newcastle. Certainly Overmars scoring the first goal. Sloppy goal for Newcastle to concede. All about one ball from Petit over the top. Those Overmars, lightning fast, ball down, pass given, 1-0. You never thought that Newcastle would have any way back from that. The play was poor. The final pass was awful. They had very, very few options. Arsenal were always in control and worthy winners of the FA Cup final.
His players celebrate in the middle of the pitch, but Arsene Wenger stayed behind in the touchline in relative anonymity and shook the hands of every member of the Newcastle backroom staff and his own backroom staff. That's a measure of the man. And only now does Wenger, who's had a fantastic 19 months at Highbury Stadium, move forward. He gives David Platt a pat there, and what a season for Platt. He's basically been a reserve. He's made 30 appearances in the Premiership, most of them a substitute, and he's finished with a cup in his medal and a league championship medal. And Wenger goes forward now, embraces Dixon and Overmars, and there's Ian Wright. He's still got that cap on. Dennis Bergkamp is out on the pitch too. Alan Shearer. Where is Shearer? He's just on the edge of the centre circle. He looks totally distraught, actually, Shearer, doesn't he?
Very dejected. He was just stood on his own there for a good half a minute. As the Arsenal players celebrate way to our right, and quite rightly they should. That, as you said before, there's very, very few teams won the double. They've come from behind, and words aren't really enough for the run that they've had in the last 3 or 4 months. Their all displays have been so well-rounded. Defensively, never looked like conceding a goal. The midfield three, the trio for me, have been the stars of the season. Then, of course, you've got somebody like Bergkamp, who doesn't even figure today with his outstanding goals, contributions, great guile in his passing, awareness of other people. Ian Wright's hardly played for the last 3 or 4 months. and Elka's grown up. You could go on and on. The list is endless, Alan. But the greatest thing you could say about Arsenal is the team performances, and we must stress team performances have been outstanding since the middle of January.
Nigel Winterburn is having his own private celebration with 35,000 Arsenal fans away to our right. He left his teammates. He just wanted to go over there and have a silent moment. I say silent moment? Listen to the noise. The embraces from those Arsenal fans, if only they can reach the Arsenal left back. And 20,000 red and white flags being waved aloft. But this is a sorry time for Newcastle United. And look, to their credit, Mark, they're not celebrating. How can you celebrate when your team is lost? But they're applauding, and I hope that they're applauding Arsenal as well in recognition of what Arsenal Football Club has achieved this season.
Well, I'm sure that they are, but they will be so disappointed, those black and white hordes from the northeast, because really they haven't played today. Now, I always said to you before the kick-off that Newcastle were going to come and suffocate, but you're so very welcome and suffocate. You've got to not going to concede silly goals, which they did midway through the first half, just as you took up the commentary. Once you do that, Alan, if you haven't got the personnel within your ranks to be able to change the game, then you die on your feet, and it was only a matter of time really before Arsenal scored a second and then really just closed the game off completely.
Arsenal still celebrate on the pitch. Meantime, Robert Lee leads the way for Newcastle United and his players to receive their losers' medals, and Tony Adams stands to one side away from a television interview trying to interrupt him. Adams applauding Newcastle United and calling now on his players as well to do the same. It's been a glorious afternoon at Wembley Stadium, perhaps too hot for the best game of football. It was not a classic contest, not a great spectacle, but playing 60% at their peak, Arsenal still managed to win very, very comfortably. So John Hall says that all the problems that they've had at St James's Park this season, problems that entailed a return for him to become chairman of the club once more, is merely a blip on the chart of progress for Newcastle United. Well, we'll wait to see about that. Apart from the fantastic night against Barcelona, when who knows what might have been ahead for them in the season, it's been a sorry, sorry tale. So John Hall applauds his players too, as the Duchess of Kent hands out the losers' medals. Shay Given, sad Irishman there, and Stuart Pearce, a loser again once more in an FA Cup final.
You can't knock them for lack of effort, Alan, but I just thought tactically they got it wrong today. They employed exactly the same tactics they employed at Highbury some 4 or 5 weeks ago. Then they conceded a sloppy early goal. The same happened today, and once they conceded the sloppy goal with the personnel that they had, they were never ever really going to trouble Arsenal.
As he grasped the FA Cup, red and white ribbons adorn it, and Adams lifts the cup for Arsenal. Arsenal celebrate the double, and who would doubt that they're right for the double?
Also a nice touch, Alan, as well, was the fact that all the Newcastle players are applauding towards the centre of the pitch. But just such a marvellous 4 months for Arsenal Football Club. I thought midway through the season they might have lost away a bit, injuries to Bergkamp and Wright, Adams, one or two other of the personnel. But what happened was the younger members really, they were blooded by Arsene Wenger. They gained their valuable experience, and I think to a man he's probably used 18, 19 players throughout the season, and they have all been outstanding for him, and they look at the moment invincible.
Martin Keown, one of that impeccable defence, hands the trophy